Life has been described as many things: a roller coaster, a race, a journey. But I think that my favorite is that life is primarily a story. It's a book with many chapters, ups and downs, victories and losses. If our life is a story, then let's make this our prologue. This may not be the very beginning of our story, but it certainly is the starting of a new chapter, which got us thinking, what if our story became more like a book? What if our vlogs became chapters in a story with no clear ending? So seeing as how this is the prologue, it must set the scene for the rest of the story. As we set out to get video of the beginning, it became much more about reminiscing, and you'll see scenery from Sanibel Island, downtown Fort Myers, the swamp, Lake Alice, among other things, all of which have meant something to us in our time before our move. Our journey began in the spring when we announced our upcoming move to New Zealand. We knew that there was still a lot to get done, but I don't think we even came close to realizing just how much still needed to be done when we made the announcement. To catch you up on the last few months, our primary goal was to sell our home, as we could not proceed without it being sold. Little did we know that we were facing a difficult market, as many people were trying to move away from Florida following Hurricane Irma, which left its mark on the mind of the people. Suddenly, the market was flooded with homes and not enough buyers. For a little over 3 months, we tried to sell our house. Though we had visitor after visitor after visitor, and people found excuse after excuse why the home wasn't right for them, the right person didn't come along until Alana's birthday, when we received an offer, which concluded with the closing on our 5th wedding anniversary. We fostered an amazing relationship with the young couple who purchased our home. This was even more bittersweet, as we know we would have been great friends had we stayed in town. This was only the beginning of the hardest part. Over the last month, we've had to say goodbye to some of the greatest people we've ever met. Some old relationships and some new ones. None of them were easy, as we know some of these goodbyes are for good. This led to some great perspective, though, because each of these people left their mark on us and helped shape us in some way. Every relationship has its purpose, and none will leave you without changing you in some way. Another small piece of wisdom I can give you is this: don't be afraid to love on people that won't be in your life for long. In fact, love on them even more, because it makes a world of difference. Even through all this, we still needed to figure out visas, where we were going to live, and what we were going to do once we got there. The latter became at once apparent. Alana had several interviews and finally had a job offer. After that, everything began to fall into place. Visas became available, and a huge shout out to Sarah and Josh over at Our Home Sweet World, who have been an amazing support system throughout this whole process, helping us with housing and so much more. Check out their channel in the link in the description and send them some love. Another difficult challenge was to reduce our lives down to 4 suitcases and 2 carry-ons. Even in our 5 years of marriage and 3 years of home ownership, you would not believe the amount of stuff that we managed to accrue in such a short amount of time. It was a real testimony to our materialism, and it was definitely apparent in us when we went to reduce our quantity of things. Most wall art had to go. All of our furniture, our mattress, our dishes, and some things that we had collected over the years had to go. We had to reduce down to just our clothes and essential portable electronics, and even our clothes had to be reduced. The experience was hard, but oddly freeing. Everything that we never looked at was brought up, and our abundance of things that were never used became amazingly apparent. Hopefully, this will be a lesson for our next move not to acquire so much. For the past week, we've spent time in my hometown of Gainesville, Florida. It's been a strange week, as we've been living with my parents in their new home, and we've been seeing just how much the city has changed since we left it almost 4 years ago. The first year of our marriage was in this city, and it holds so many memories. We visited the place that I proposed to Alana, Lake Alice, and much of the foliage has changed or been cut down. I drove past a place that I used to work in high school and reminisced with many of my old friends and coworkers. I even visited my old high school, went to my childhood church, and saw my childhood home, which was sold a few months ago. As our flight comes ever nearer, the plans don't stop. How will we get our money transferred? How will we buy a car? What will we need to buy right away once we get there? It's all hard to tell. All we know is that the flight is getting closer, and we have a huge adventure ahead of us. Please pray for us in the days, weeks, and months to come. It will be a huge adjustment. Everything has fallen into place more perfectly than we can imagine. This is just the beginning of this story, and there will be many new chapters to come. The next of which begins next week as we make that long flight to our new home. A new chapter in New Zealand.